Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today, we're jumping into something really unique, sonically speaking. We're exploring one of the most, well, alien-sounding effects out there, the ring modulator. Our plan is to really trace its path, where it came from, how it changed over time, and the market left on music. We've looked at a whole load of sources chronologically to piece together this story for you.
Yeah, and maybe before we dive deep, it's worth just quickly saying what this thing does. Fundamentally, a ring modulator takes two sounds, two signals, could be anything really, kind of multiplies them. But here's the key part. It then throws away the original sounds completely. So what you're left with is only the sum of their frequencies and the difference between them. This creates totally new tones, often really clangy, metallic, or, kind of robotic sounding, not exactly your typical musical notes.
Okay, so if it creates these really unusual sounds, where did it first pop up? Was it like in the experimental electronic music labs back in the 50s?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was pretty much ground zero for the ring modulator. And it caught on fast in that avant-garde scene. Someone like Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, the German composer, he was using it really early on his piece, Gesang der Jungling, from 1955, believe it or not. And he used it on the human voice.
On the voice,
Yeah,
wow.
treating it not just for singing words, but as like raw sonic material. He used the ring mod to create these really strange, mystical, almost otherworldly textures out of it. It was pretty
Oh.
radical. You know, questioning what harmony even was, using any sound as building blocks.
Right. So it wasn't something guitarists were using initially. It lived in these big studios
Uh-huh.
with tape machines and those early modular synthesizers.
Absolutely. Those were the places for sound exploration back then.
Yeah.
And there was this engineer, Harold Bode, who's describing these circuits. He called them four-quadrant multipliers
Yeah.
way back in the late 50s. And his designs were really foundational. They inspired a lot of the synth modules and standalone boxes that came later, these big rack units. That's where composers could really start pulling out those weird metallic sounds, long drones, robotic sorts of timbres from oscillators or whatever they plugged in.
Okay, so moving towards rock music.
Yeah.
Lots of people probably associate ring mod with guitars now, but was the first time it really hit the mainstream via guitar pedal? Or is there a twist?
Yeah, there is a bit of a twist, actually,
Yeah.
especially for rock history buffs. Before the first proper pedal people could buy, one very famous guitarist was already using it, Tony Iommi.
From Black Sabbath.
The very same. On the riff of Paranoid in 1970. He used ring modulation on that. But, and this is the key part, he did it using studio gear. It wasn't a stomp box yet.
Ah, okay, so that makes the first pedal version even more significant then.
Exactly. That breakthrough was the Maestro RM1 ring modulator, which came out in 1971. That was the first one really aimed at the mass market, specifically for guitarists. It had a pretty simple transistor circuit inside and its own internal sound source, the carrier oscillator. So it was this self-contained box that let rock players finally get those, sci-fi sounds on stage. It kind of democratized the effect, took it out of the specialized studios.
Right, bringing it to the stage. Were there other important pedals around that same time in the early 70s?
Yeah, definitely a couple more that were really influential. First, even a bit earlier, around 1969, Tom Oberheim, big name in synths. Later on, he actually partnered with Gibson or Norlin, who owned them then. They put out the Maestro RM1A. What's interesting there is it was one of the first pedal-style ring mods, and they also did a phase shifter in a similar box. And Oberheim's engineering was apparently inspired by Harold Bode's work we mentioned earlier.
Okay, so Oberheim was involved early. What was the other one?
The other big one from that era was from Electro-Harmonix. In 1977, they released the EH5000 frequency analyzer. That one had really useful controls like rate and mix, so you could blend the effect in or make it really intense like bell sounds. And there's that famous story about Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo.
Yeah.
He loved the frequency analyzer so much, he apparently just duct taped it right onto his guitar.
No way.
Yeah. It was totally key to getting that signature Devo sound, that sort of clangy, robotic, sci-fi vibe they had.
That's amazing. Okay, so jumping forward quite a bit now into more recent times, the effect didn't just disappear, right? There's been a kind of modern resurgence.
Oh, absolutely. It evolved. A really significant step came in 1998. Moog Music, Bob Moog's company, they basically took the ring modulator circuit from their famous modular synthesizers and packed it into a pedal. The Moogerfugger MF-102.
Ah, the Moger figures, right.
Yeah, classic pedals. And the MF-102 was loaded. It had its own internal carrier oscillator, like the Maestro, but also a really flexible LFO. That's a low-frequency oscillator, basically something to make the sound wobble or sweep rhythmically.
Yeah.
It had different wave shapes for that LFO, and a crucial mix knob to blend the clean and affected sound. Moog's team essentially put studio-level ring modulation control at the feet of guitarists and synth players. Really powerful stuff.
And did others follow suit, building on that?
Yeah, Electro-Harmonix again, actually.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, they came out with the ring thing, which was interesting because it wasn't just a ring modulator. It was more of a multi-effects box that had ring mod, but also pitch shifting, tremolo, even Leslie speaker simulation.
Hmm.
It showed how you could start combining ring modulation with other effects in creative ways within one pedal, kind of hybrid designs.
So that brings us pretty much up to today. How are people getting these sounds now, especially with digital technology everywhere?
Well, nowadays you find ring modulation algorithms built into lots of digital multi-effects units. And of course, software plugins for computers are huge. You can get incredibly accurate digital recreations. Like Moog even made a plug-in version of their MF102, the MF102S. It's a DSP version, digital signal processing, so it's software that models the original hardware precisely. Producers can just call it up in their DAW, their recording software, and get those exact same sum and difference textures. You get all the control, the carrier frequency tuning, the LFO shapes. It's all right there on the screen. Super accessible.
It really is an incredible journey when you lay it out like that. From, experimental composers treating voices in labs,
Yeah.
all the way to software plugins anyone can use today. Those really unique, almost alien sounds, it's definitely earned its place as one of the boldest effects out there.
For sure. And its influence keeps going. It's not just a historical curiosity.
Right.
Beyond the famous names like Stockhausen, Iommi, Devo, you still hear it used by experimental artists, ambient musicians like Laurie Spiegel, for example,
Yeah.
and sound designers, definitely, for movies, games, music. Whenever they need those really specific, inharmonic, metallic, maybe robotic textures, it's still a go-to tool for creating sounds that are just different.
Wow, what a fantastic sonic journey we've taken you on, right from the avant-garde origins through stompboxes and into the digital age, all focused on this one weird, wonderful effect. I think understanding the story behind tools like the ring modulator gives you a whole new appreciation when you hear those sounds, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, with people constantly pushing boundaries, combining effects, maybe even using AI or new tech,
Mhm.
what other completely unexpected sounds are going to emerge from messing with things like the ring modulator in ways nobody's thought of yet?
That's a great thought to end on. So next time you're listening to music, maybe keep an ear out, see if you can spot those strange, metallic, otherworldly timbers hiding in there. You might be surprised. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.